Ash's journey through the Kalos region was one of the best in a long time for the anime. You had great characters, an excellent story, fantastically animated Pokemon battles. The anime just seemed to be doing everything right, hitting all the best notes, until it didn't. So imagine my surprise when right at the very end, as my man Ash has proven his strength, forged powerful bonds between him and his Pokemon, right when it comes to claim that Kalos League championship which he truly deserves, he loses. I mean, really? With a team as stacked as Ash's and Ash Greninja being the powerhouse of his team, he lost? Listen. I mean, I know as Pokemon fans, we're pretty used to it by now. It's all a joke. Haha, Ash never wins. But this time, I mean, my man deserved a win. If he didn't get a win in the Sinnoh League or the Unova League, why couldn't he get this one? So, I decided enough was enough. In this challenge, I'll be venturing into the Kalos region using any and all species of Pokemon that Ash has used, up until the most recent episode of the anime. In addition, I'll be doing it under Hardcore Nuzlocke rules and through a version of Kalos that is far less forgiving than its regularly easy vanilla version. I'll also only be showing captures that actually get used in the run, just to save on some time. So, will I succeed and earn Ash a championship he honestly deserved? Or will I crash and burn as is typical of our beloved Ash Ketchum? Go ahead and make your predictions in the comments section below. As the wonderful French would say, allons-y. To begin, I immediately nicknamed myself Ash, as I will be impersonating the immortal 10-year-old. For real, my man hasn't aged a day in 20 plus years. Seriously bro, what's your skincare routine? For starters, I choose Frokage the Froakie, as aside from Charizard and Pikachu, he is one of Ash's most iconic Pokemon and the first one he catches in the Kalos region. Plus, you can't go wrong with a Frog Ninja. Soon after acquiring our little Froggy, we beat Shauna with ease, speak to our mom, and set off on our adventure. On Route 2, we get Pokeballs from Serana, and thus the challenge has officially begun. Our first encounter is Zephyr the Pidgey, and in Santaloon Forest, we thankfully manage to run into Ash's most iconic partner, Pikachu. We name it Zapatui to give it that Kalos flair. Skiver the Ratata is our encounter for Route 3, and on Route 22 we get ourselves Sterling the Starly. After some training, Sterling becomes a Staravia and Frokage becomes a Frogadier. With the team more or less ready for the first gym, we go ahead and take on Viola. Here's where I got you all confused, huh? You're asking yourself, why does Viola have 6 Pokemon? Okay, you don't actually sound like that, but dear viewer, I told you in the beginning that this version of Kalos would be different from the original. This version of Pokemon X is called Pokemon Eternal X, and to put it shortly, it is a difficulty hack meant to make the super easy vanilla version of Pokemon X into a far more difficult and challenging game, plus a lot of other knickknacks and doodad. Funny enough, I disproved myself immediately because I can't have an Ash challenge without having Pikachu solo a gym all by himself. Armed with a light orb that doubles his attack and special attack when held, Zapatui is going to have an easy time. So we begin sweeping Viola's gym, zapping bugs left and right with electro balls. With the air smelling of burnt bugs, we've gotten ourselves the first gym badge with very little trouble. So much for a challenge, eh? Our next encounter afterwards is actually one we obtain from defeating Professor Sycamore in a battle. After winning, he offers us the choice between the 3 Kanto starters. It's a pretty difficult choice considering Ash has used all of them in the past, plus they're all excellent in addition to getting Megas in this game. After some thought, I go ahead and choose Bulbabutt the Bulbasaur, as he'll give us some great support with his powder moves and because he'll do well against the second gym. Did I choose wrong? Who would have you chosen? Let me know in the comment section down below. With a full team, we go ahead and meet with Diantha and Lysandre at a cafe, and after another million little interruptions, we make it to Route 5. On this route, we meet Karina for the first time and her Lucarios, and on this very same route, we get ourselves Phanpy and evolve Bulbasaur into Ivysaur. After a load of more interruptions and a visit to Parfum Palace and whatever else, we capture Thicky the Snorlax that was blocking the road by using the Pokeflute. Then, in the cave leading to the next route, we capture ourselves a Larvitar that, rest assured, will be used later. Exiting onto the next route, we get Ace the Tailo, and then Roxy the Sandile from Route 9, and after dealing with Team Flare, get ourselves Mr. Krabs the Krabby from smashing some rocks open in Sillage City. With a little training, Mr. Krabs becomes a kingler, and after dealing with the gym trainers, it's time to face Grant. I know I already made this joke in my first X and Y run, but
look at the top of his head!
this time around, I've decided to use a highly sophisticated strategy involving putting this dumb, weak, pathetic, underwhelming dinosaur to sleep with a yawn and then immediately switch into Mr. Krabs. I set up a single swords dance, and because this marvelous little crab knows Metal Claw, I begin completely destroying Grant's team. Starting by destroying Amara as if she were made out of wet paper towel, which from her typing is essentially the same. So, 1, 2, 3, and Caracosta ruins the flow by surviving a Metal Claw thanks to its ability Solid Rock. My man Grant can't do nothing though, as Mr. Krabs continues his path of destruction.
Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
With Grant defeated and the second gym badge in our hands, we can now buy ability capsules, which allow us to change the ability of our Pokemon. Of course, with such an item, there's only one logical route. Motherfucking Protean Greninja. Oh boy, if you thought base Greninja was awesome as hell before, well, with Protean, which makes Greninja match the type of any move he uses, Frokage will become a god. Shame there's no battle bond yet, or else we could literally cruise this game even if this is a so-called difficulty hack. On the road to the third gym, we have Bulbabutt become a Venusaur and then have Staravia become a hardcore My Chemical Romance fan. Near the end of Reflection Cave, we nab ourselves Hela the Ghastly, and at the Tower of Mastery we have our first fight with Serana. She leads with her Meowstic as I have Thicky leading. I go for a yawn to put the cat to sleep while it chips Thicky's HP away little by little. Because Psyshock targets Snorlax's meh defense rather than a special defense, it's no surprise that our thick Vanguard is having trouble. After a body slam and the yawn taking effect, I switch into Chunk Trunk, who rocks Meowstic's world with a magnitude 8. Us Californians are shivering at the sound of that. As Dragonair comes out to avenge the fallen cat, I go into Bulbabutt, who resists the Aqua Tail even as a crit. I should have gone for a sleep powder here rather than going for the cut, because Drago gets to push us out with its Dragon Tail. Sterling gets dragged in, and after a brutal aerial ace, we almost take it out. The following Aqua Tail misses, allowing us to take the Dragonair out with very little issues. Chestnut then comes out, and well, when you got a 4 times weakness to something, you tend to die pretty freaking easily. Next is Vaporeon, who goes right for a baton pass, summoning another edgelord onto the battlefield. Absol goes down to a single close combat, and then Vaporeon comes back out. Here's where I make a major mistake. Rather than doing the normal-headed thing and going into Venusaur, I go into Pikachu, who gets one-shotted by a single Surf. Oof, listen, I'm not sure what I was thinking there, but it's safe to say my brain was not present when that happened. I bring in Bulbabutt to take care of things, as Cut has been turned into a grass-type move that always crits. Should have gone for that first. Vaporeon goes down, and the battle is donezo. To replace my fallen Zapatui, I bring in the newly captured Hala, have her level up into a Haunter, and then have Frokage reach his final form. It's then time to deal with Karina. The battle begins with Breloom leading as I go with Hela. She's been equipped with a Poison Barb to give her Poison-type moves some extra oomph. Breloom almost goes down, but a Focus Sash lets it survive. The next Venoshock takes it out, and then Karina brings in her Lucario, and because this thing is more specially inclined, I bring in Thicky to tank hits. Yawn puts the doggo to sleep, and after some bulldozes it goes down, having never woken back up from its slumber. How sad. Karina then sends in her Lopunny. Here I go into Venusaur, who can take the hits a little bit better, and get rewarded with a critical hit jump kick. Sweet. I put the bunny to sleep after severing a power-up punch. I hit it with a cut, which triggers this eject button, sending Pangoro in. Bulbabutt can't take ice punches from an Iron Fist boosted Pangoro, so I make the decision to have Thicky come back out to put it to sleep. Thicky bears some brutal hits, one of which was a critical, but thankfully his thick fat reduced the damage somewhat. After putting the Demon Bear to sleep, I can switch into Sterling, who deletes Pangoro from existence with a close combat. Sleeping Bunny Crouching Jaguar comes out, and due to its status, it goes down as well. Hawlucha is next, and the Demon Bird has a Flying Gem, which boosts flying type attacks by 50%. Plus, it has Acrobatics, a move that's power doubles when not holding an item, which makes for a pretty killer combo right there, which is made all the more powerful by its ability Unburden, which boosts his speed when a held item is used. Hawlucha, Certified Beast. So I send Chunk Trunk in to take the attacks, and thanks to his high defense, he manages to survive while also lowering the Hawlucha's speed with a scary face. I hit it with another for good measure and then have Sterling take Nacho Libre out with his own Flying Gem boosted move. Last is Gallade, who doesn't put up much of a fight, and ta-da! Third badge right in our nasty little hands. After some training, we have Haunter evolve into Gengar, which in this ROM just requires a high friendship. We fight Karina once more atop the Tower of Mastery and get one of her Lucarios, which I name Constantine. Afterwards, we obtain Nessie, the Lapras, from a kind man, and after traveling for a bit, we deal with Serena quickly as it's more of the same. For Ramos, I wanted to give some of the other Pokemon a try, so I brought Skeever the Raticate, gave it an ability capsule so he could have Strong Jaw, which is an ability given to him in this hack, and as for Lapras, I changed her ability to Shell Armor. With preparation finished, it's time to take on Ramos. The Thickness is sent out to deal with Ferrothorn. Before the battle, I taught Thicky Incinerate to deal some decent damage to Ferrothorn, as well as not having to deal with the dreaded combo of Iron Barbs plus Rocky Helmet damage, which would be pretty devastating. After several Incinerates, Ferrothorn goes down, and the World Turtle Torterra comes out. A critical hit Woodhammer almost takes out Thicky, but he hangs on to hit Torterra with an Incinerate to burn up its Koba Berry. I switch Sterling in and... until the turtle is down. Ramos then sends in my mascot, which makes me pivot into Lapras so I can force him out with the Perish Song. So Ramos switches Ludicolo out at the 1 count, as do I, and Go-Goat is in, and he gets taken out by a single Flying Gem boosted fly from Sterling. Ludicolo is then back in, and this time I decide to have Gengar take care of things. He takes the Ice Beam well and the Hydro Pump alright, as 2 Venoshock serve to take Ludicolo out. Sorry, my prince, but you're on the wrong side of history. Sceptile is Ramos's next mon, and after switching into Lapras and taking a Rock Slide, I take it down with a single Ice Beam. The final threat on Ramos's team is his Venusaur, who, as you might have guessed, Mega Evolves. My strategy for this is 2 words: Perish Song. Mega Venusaur might deal some harsh damage, but with so long as I protect and switch, I trivialize the Thick Frog, and after 3 turns, get ourselves the 4th gym badge. I didn't even use Skeever. Well, with that finished, it's now time to deal with the most annoying part of this game, Route 13. This part almost isn't interesting, but I do mess up at one point, which leads to Sterling to die, and I unfortunately forgot to record that segment. Next, we get to participate in the world-famous game, Who's That Pokémon?
It's Pikachu!
Ding, 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 we've got a winner! After winning an all-expense-paid vacation to the Bahamas and a premium hot dog machine, it's come time to deal with Clement. Bulbabutt leads the battle against Clement's Rotom Wash. I hit it with a cut that triggers its red card, which forces Bulbabutt out and brings Constantine in. He gets Will-O-Wisp, which absolutely sucks, so I switch back into Bulbabutt to take care of a Rotom with another cut. Electros is next, and it is a bit difficult to deal with, as thanks to Levitate, it has no weaknesses. I go for a Sleep Powder, which thankfully lands, cut it once, twice, thrice, and almost take it out. It wakes up on the 3rd and hits us with a Fire Punch. Oof. I hit it with another Sleep Powder, cut it some more, and then switch into Hella. A Poison Barb boosted Venoshock almost takes it out, but it hangs on, which doesn't matter, as a Shadow Ball does the deed. Galvantula swings on in, and I go into Thicky so I can put it to sleep with a yawn. It dies in its sleep as Thicky comes down with all his weight, making Galvantula splatter. Heliolisk is next, which is a pretty cool Pokemon design-wise. It tries to hit us with a Focus Blast, but Thicky avoids them with Protects, and after 2 bulldozes, the poke is down. Magnezone wanders onto the field thanks to his air balloon, and it does very little to harm all this blubber. A body slam pops the balloon, and with Magnezone vulnerable, we can take it out with one Earthquake. Last is Mega Ampharos, who isn't so mega as a single Earthquake from Chunk Trunk takes it out. Sorry, Fabio. With the 5th gym badge in our hands, we skip another Serana fight as it's not that interesting. Thankfully, there isn't too many interruptions between us and the 6th gym, so we make it to Valerie and challenge her. Her Klefki gets quaked to death by Chunk Trunk, and Azumarill is next, and though I fear the little fairy, 2 cuts from Venusaur take it out. Togekiss is out next, and I have Thicky deal with her as he can take nearly all special attacks with ease. After putting it to sleep, I can take it out with a single heavy slam that Thicky learned during the gym, and in hindsight I should have gone for this first as it one-shots Togekiss. Gramble is next, and fearful of a fighting type move, I switch in Hella, and then get this, the freaking idiot dog equipped itself with a freaking Toxic Orb! Oh my god, is that hilarious or what? Venoshock completely obliterates the doggo and Sylveon prances in, trying in vain to set up with Calm Minds. This ain't Pokemon Showdown, honey. Last is Mawile, who I actually feared quite a lot as its huge power boosted attack makes it a freaking wrecking ball. Thicky doesn't take the hit well, and with no other choice, I decide to sack my precious Bulba Bud. Fuck man, I didn't want to do it, but it had to be done so Chunk Trunk could get a revenge kill with Earthquake. So, we get the 6th badge, but at what cost? With my precious Bulba Bud dead, I decide to update the team a little, replacing Chunk Trunk with Roxy, who's now a Crocodile, and bringing in Ace the Swallow. Afterwards, I get myself a valuable Gengarite from this spooky lady and proceed into the Pokeball factory. It's here that I face a 12v12 against Team Flare's Celosia and Bryony. Yes, you heard that right, a 12v12. So, the battle begins. Thicky acts as the vanguard alongside Serana's Meowstic, who gets hyper-focused by the enemy Liepard and Dual Blade. I found that pretty hilarious. Bulldoze does very little as Clefable comes in to render aid after Meowstic goes down. It takes out Liepard with a Moonblast, and after Bisharp comes in, it takes out the Dual Blade with another, but not before suffering a pretty brutal Iron Head. With Dual Blade down, they send in Toxicroak, who slaps Clefable's cheeks so hard it dies. I yawned the Bisharp in the meanwhile, then switched in Hella as Serana has her Chestnut destroy Bisharp with a single Drain Punch. With Hella now equipped with a Gengarite, I take it for a spin, turning Chandelure back into Ectoplasm with a Shadow Ball. Chestnut barely survives a Gunk Shot as I go for Dazzling Gleam as Luxray pounces into battle. It sadly does little and Chestnut faints after taking a wild charge. Hella then takes a Gunk Shot from Toxicroak and it kills itself thanks to its Life Orb. Magmortar comes out next as Absol jumps into battle to help us. Magmortar manages to survive a Shadow Ball and retaliates with a Psychic that almost killed Mega Hella. With Hella paralyzed due to Thunder Wave and low health, I have no other choice but to switch out. At least Absol took care of the Luxray. Roxy enters the fray as Absol takes a Dragon Call from Haxorus and it takes out Magmortar. Drapion is next, and with very little care for Absol, I go for Earthquake, which takes out both Absol and Drapion. Hey, Roxy don't fuck around, she's here for business. The next mon out for the enemy is Hydreigon, and once again the enemies decide to dogpile on Serana, hard targeting her Vaporeon. Vaporeon takes out the Haxorus with a Blizzard, and next is Pinsir, which is obviously going to Mega Evolve. With Thicky in, I yawn Mega Pinsir and take a near fatal close Combite from it. I protect it by another turn as my pal Vaporeon gets taken out by a Dragon Pulse. Serana's last Dragonair is out and it takes out the Hydreigon with a Dragon Rush. Jeez, this battle has been going on for ages. With Hydreigon down, out comes Manectric, who I know also has a Mega. I switch Greninja out for Roxy to get Intimidate off, and so Frokage won't die. Surprisingly, Dragonair survives a Frostfang from Mega Manectric and gets a Fire Blast off on Pinsir, which is an immense help. Unfortunately, it dies next turn, but it distracts Mega Manectric enough to get an Earthquake off that almost takes it out. Its survival makes things pretty fucking dire, to put it mildly. 2 Megas on the enemy side, even if they are low, is a giant problem. I make the difficult decision of keeping Roxy begin, and Manectric strangely opts for a flamethrower that Roxy manages to survive, getting another earthquake off that does take Mega Manectric out. Unfortunately, Pinsir finally awakes and kills Roxy with a close combat. Damn. After ruminating a while, I send in Lucario, who outspeeds the Mega Pinsir and takes it out with a Thunder Punch. Jeez. I knew the game was substantially harder, but I didn't imagine I'd be getting myself into a 12v12. That battle was almost as bad as you not liking or subscribing in return for viewing my suffering. Oh, I'm kidding. You'll press it on your own time. Well, with that major battle out of the way, we make it past the next route, past the Frozen Cavern and a less extreme admin battle, and before facing the 7th gym to take on Serana once more. As usual, Meowstic gets taken out first, this time by a single stab facade boosted by Gut Swallow. Oh yeah. Clefable suffers the same fate as does Absol. Next out is the now Dragonite, and even with Facade, its bulk won't let it go down so easily. Thus, Thicky comes in to put it to sleep with a yawn, and I then go into Gengar. I Mega Evolve and hit it with a nasty Hex that almost takes it out, and a Thunderbolt finishes the job, and Vaporeon is next. Its bulk lets it tank what, but it then wastes a turn using Acid Armor, so it goes down. After a little switching where I put the Chestnut to sleep, I have Ace take it out with a Fly, and thus the battle ends. I mean, Serana's team just isn't that good. With her out of the way, we make it inside the gym, and is that a cool transition or what? Now, this battle was surprisingly easy. Well, I'll just let it play out with this wonderful music that best matches the mood. Afterwards, Lysander reveals something or other about transforming the world, and we have to stop him, you know, the usual. The first fight is pretty underwhelming, so I'll speed through this one as too much doesn't happen. The world is then irrevocably changed by the giant MacGuffin, so we have to speed off to Geosenge, where we battle Lysander once again. It's honestly more of the same as last time, so after dealing with the Gauntlet of Admins, we fight Xerneas in this honestly really well done cutscene. But I really don't want to deal with this, so I capture it with a Master Ball and stuff it into the PC, never to see the light of day ever again. This time around, Lysander puts up more of an interesting fight. His Mienshao almost gets destroyed by an extra sensory, but it survives thanks to its Focus Sash. The next one takes it out as a freaking Volcarona comes flying in. To deal with the volcanic moth, I have Thicky take his usual roll of punching bag to get a yawn in. Once asleep, I can send Ace in to destroy Volcarona with a Guts boosted Fly. Lysander then brings out a Garchomp, which prompts me to once again bring out the old punching bag. Thicky does his job again, and after the Uber Dragon falls asleep, I hit a Slack Off and then send in Skeever, whose Ice Fang leaves Garchomp at 1 HP. Yo, that doesn't look right to me. Well, whether it's right or not, a satisfying crunch takes care of the land shark, but the combination of rough skin and rocky helmet leaves Skeever very vulnerable. Mob Boss Honchkrow then swoops in, and okay, now, so as you can see, this is bullshit. Honchkrow had no Focus Sash, so I'm not sure exactly what happened here. Maybe he was playing with them in Pokemon on me. I don't know, but Skeever dies to a retaliatory superpower. I switch into Gengar to execute Honchkrow for his high crimes, but for some reason Lysander switches out into Pyro. It gets paralyzed by the Thunderbolt, and from here I switch into Constantine as Pyro goes for a sunny day. I then Mega Evolve Constantine, destroy Pyro with a close combat, pluck all the feathers off of Honchkrow with extreme speed, and well, Mega Gyarados doesn't have a chance as an adaptability close combat from a Mega Lucario turns the fat fish into mush. And with that, Team Flare is defeated and the world has been saved once again by a 10-year-old who can save the world but apparently can't win a league. With Team Flare out of the way, we can continue. Replacing Skeever will be Timmy the Tyranitar, a rock-solid wall that will be essential for the last leg of the journey. Before reaching the final city, we have to deal with what would usually be an annoying part in the base game, but what is now a potentially party-wiping event. 3 battles back to back. Oh boy. The first is Shauna, whose Sylveon gets taken out by a single Sludge Wave from Mega Gengar. She sends in Goodra, who I put to sleep with Thicky, and once the goofy Drago has fallen to sleep, I have Ace come in and destroy it with a single Facade. Lapras then comes out, and I'm once again sending in Thicky to deal with the Ice Dino. Constantine takes care of it with a single close combat, and Delphox comes out next. I mean, is it a surprise at this point that I go back into Thicky? I put it to sleep and crunch away until it goes down. Roserade springs into battle next and manages to poison Thicky, which will make him unusable next battle as I don't get a heal. With Roserade asleep, Mega Gengar takes care of it, and Shauna's last poke is Cincino. I then have to deal with Tierno. Sweet. His Talonflame gets zapped out of the sky thanks to a Thunderbolt from Mega Gengar. Lelagant gets turned into Rotten Mush from a Sludge Wave, and as Crawdon comes out, I switch into Timmy to take a crunch. Brokage is the next one out, dodging a Cramhabber like the ninja he is, and taking Crawdon out with a Grass Knot. This evil man then sends out Ludi Loco, which makes me feel bad for having to kill it with a Grass Knot as it goes for a Hydro Pump. Tierno then sends in a rather impressive Volcarona that gets drowned due to a rain-boosted surf. Last is Kingdra, who goes for an Outrage that gets tanked by Timmy. A Payback deals some devastating damage back, but it doesn't take it out. Thankfully I have Constantine, who resists Outrage, and I take out the Kingdra with an extreme speed for good measure. We then fight sorry pal, what's your name again? Trevor? Oh, Trevor, dude, sorry, you're just very forgettable. He gets some major points for healing us before the fight. Big Chad move there, dude. Raichu almost gets taken out by a Shadow Ball, but hangs on enough to retaliate. Next one takes it out though. The Thunderbolt then takes care of the Aerodactyl that comes out, and a Shadow Ball redeads the Frostlass. Bastiodon is next, and with Hell in the Red, I switch in Frokage. Funnily enough, going for Grass Knot might have actually saved Frokage here, as Metal Burst works like counter, reflecting damage. The next surf takes out Bastiodon, and as much as I like Florges, the fairy gets burned by cold metal. Breloom is Trigor's last Pokemon, and a Facade takes care of him. With the 6v18 now completed, we can now, finally, take on the 8th gym. We first must find Wolfrack at the Poke Village, and after doing so, we can now take him on. Surprisingly, this battle has been transformed into a double battle, which would be pretty cool, if not for the fact that Wolfrack is an Ice-type aficionado, the worst type in the game. Constantine and Frokage are the tag team pair that lead the battle, with Wolfrack opting to lead with Jinx, which is fine, and god, that stupid rotten dinosaur. The dino gets shattered into a million little pieces as Jinx gets Dark Pulsed to death. The next pair out are Frostlass and Beartic, and I mean, my god. I Mega Evolve Constantine, close combat the Coca-Cola Bear to death, Dark Pulse Frostlass, and then get this! Oh man, he sends in Obama Snow. Arceus, what joke is this? Oh yeah, Avalog is, he's there too. Yada yada, close combat obliterates Mega Obama Snow, and after a close combat and a Dark Pulse, the Avalog is down. Ice-type gym, jeez. Might as well have skipped the battle and given us the Ice Beam TM and the badge. With the last gym defeated and all 8 badges in our possession, we have made it to Victory Road. The road itself isn't too difficult, but before we can make it to the league, we have one final battle with Serana. Meowstic gets pulsed to non-existence, and Clefable comes out next. It goes for a Calm Mind as I switch a Gengar, who I Mega of course, and destroy it with a Sludge Wave. Dragonite comes out next, and Dazzling Gleam doesn't do too much thanks to its multi-scale. It wastes a turn, however, going for Dragon Dance, and the next Dazzling Gleam takes care of the goofy dragon. Vaporeon gets taken out by 2 Thunderbolts after it missed a Hydro Pump like a chump, and hey, guys, did you know that in terms of male psych? I'm not reading that cursed copy pasta. This is gonna go over everybody's heads, but for those who know, they know, and they wish they didn't know, so don't search for it. Anyways, Chestnut has his shell eaten right through by a sludge wave, and last is Mega Absol. I can't keep Gengar in, so I switch into Constantine, who takes a knockoff and has his attack boosted thanks to Defiant. A close combat then takes care of Mega Absol, and with that, Serana is defeated. So we finally make it to the league, and here's where things get really interesting. I decide to start by challenging what could be the most difficult of the Elite Four, Seabold and his water Pokemon. Didn't think I'd ever say that, but it's true. Because this is a friggin' triple battle. So Seabold begins the battle by having Ludicolo, Politoed, and Kingdra take to the field. As expected, his Politoed has Drizzle, summoning a torrential rain onto the field. So I lead with Constantine, Hella, and Timmy. Due to Timmy's lack of speed, Drizzle triggers first, but it gets swept away by a vicious sandstorm thanks to Timmy's sand stream. Of course, I realize I'm very clever. I've got to deal with Politoed first, as it has the potential to royally screw up Gengar with its access to Psychic. So, we hard focus it. I go for a close combat in Sludge Wave, which targets every Pokemon on the field. I switch Timmy out and bring in Thicky, as his Thick, and that's with 3 seeds, can take a Sludge Wave or 2. Constantine doesn't have to worry, as his Steel typing makes him immune to Poison type moves. So, Sludge Wave devastates Seabold's field, taking out Ludicolo, getting Kingdra in the red, and getting Politoed low enough that the close combat from Constantine takes care of it. Funnily enough, we don't really have to do anything against Kingdra because it kills itself after using Muddy Water thanks to its life orb. Having taken a brutal loss, Seabold unleashes his Blastoise, Barbaracle, and Gyarados. Here I go for a close combat to target Barbaracle, protect with Thicky to avoid another Sludge Wave, and potential Gyarados damage. Sadly, Sludge Wave misses Blastoise, but it does hit both Gyarados and Barbaracle, for minimal damage. The close combat does take care of Barbaracle, however, so that's good. The Protect does save Thicky, however, from getting hit by an Aura Spear as Gyarados begins setting up Dragon Dances. Oh shit. This time we hard focus Blastoise, getting a Thunderbolt off that manages to paralyze the poor Turtle of War as a close combat cracks its shell. Now, it's just Gyarados. It goes for a bounce, which sets off the red alert, so I'm forced to switch Gengar out. I bring Timmy in to take the hit, which managed to crit and paralyze. I have to switch him out again for Frokage, who takes a waterfall quite decently for a glass cannon. The good thing is that I managed to get a yawn off, so Gyarados will go sleepy soon. I switch Timmy back in, and with Gyarados asleep and in the red, Seabold, of course, goes for a full restore. But it's in vain, as a paralyzed Timmy hits a rock slide that crushes the angry fish. Oof, 1 down, 3 to go. Next is Seabold's counterpart, Malva, who thankfully doesn't go for an anxiety-ridden triple battle, instead opting to go for a double battle. Her vanguard is Drought Ninetales and a Typhlosion. This time I lead with Timmy and Ace, a weird combo. Sandstream takes over the battlefield once again due to Timmy's lack of speed, so no Drought for you. Fuck you, Malva. Ace then takes out the Ninetales with a Facade, and I switch Timmy out for Hella, as I know that this Typhlosion has Focus Blast, which goes right through Hella's ethereal body. Malva then brings in a Heatran, which means Mega Time plus my own Focus Blast that I pray to Arceus hits. Ace claims another life with Facade, and the Focus Blast hits. Hell yeah. The next 2 Mons are Talonflame and Chandelure. I target Chandelure with a Hex and switch Ace out for Thicky, as a Gale Wings Brave Bird from Talonflame will 100% kill him. So Thicky waddles in as a Hex destroys Chandelure, and Talonflame strangely goes for a Will-O-Wisp that fails. Okay. I switch Thicky out for Timmy, because you know we gotta switch. Which actually is a bad choice, as Drought takes effect when Charizard, who's just come in, megas into Charizard Y. Thunderbolt gets Char into the yellow, but it's not enough. And by some miracle, Hella actually manages to survive a heat wave at 3 freaking HP. Thicky comes back out as Malva full restores Charizard, and Talonflame goes for a pitiful overheat. And then Rock Slide from Timmy connects, breaking Hollow Bones and ending the battle in a win. That's what I'm talking about. 2 down, 2 to go. I choose Wickstrom next, as his gimmick is rotation battles, which I'm not a big fan of. Cool concept though. For this battle, I have Timmy lead with Constantine and Hella on the sides. Might seem strange having Timmy lead, but it's part of the plan. I decide to go for the best opener, as Wickstrom goes either way, a spectacular close combat that sends Empoleon toppling from his throne. Wickstrom sends in Aegislash next, and I bet this dummy thinks I won't go for another close combat, but little does he know that I can only mash a baby. So Ferrothorn gets absolutely wrecked and goes down. Escavalier then ride/floats onto the battlefield next, and I go for a fire punch that I taught Timmy right before the battle, and then Wickstrom sort of predicted as he goes into Aegislash, who takes the offensive with a sacred sword. Aggron crashes onto the battlefield as I go for another fire punch, because if Tim is going down, it's on his own terms. Wickstrom instead rotates the Klefki, not before missing a Thunder Wave like a loser, as Fire Punch pops its balloon and almost takes it out. I then go for an Earthquake as Wickstrom heals up, and it takes my Lost Keys out, and Aggron takes center. Of course, it megas up into the wall, and hella laughs as Focus Blast tears apart Mega Aggron's armor like Play-Doh. Nice special defense, loser. Escavalier is last, and this dude is so slow that even Timmy manages to outspeed him and takes him out with a single fire punch. Boom, baby. 3 down, 1 to go. The last Elite Four member is the Dragon Lady, Drazna. She's got a Choice Scarf Hydreigon as I have a Choice Specs Frokage leading the battle. Hydreigon manages to outspeed and hits a U-turn, but does so little damage that Frokage survives and kills the incoming Dragalge with an Ice Beam. Salamence is Frokage's next victim, having his wings freeze and shatter. Hydreigon then comes back, and with his arrival, I'm forced to switch into Thicky, who takes the Fire Blast like it's nothing. I then yawn the Dark Drago, tanking Fire Blast, and switch right back into Unfortunately, Hydreigon breaks sleep and gets a Fire Blast that almost takes out Frokage. He hangs on to take it out with an Ice Beam, and the Hydreigon is down. Damn, was that close. Noivern flies in next, and while I could take it out with an Ice Beam, it has a Focus Sash, which would let it kill Frokage. Can't have that, so I switch into Thicky to yawn Noivern, hit it with a heavy slam, and then switch Frokage back in after it sleeps. Thankfully, this time, Noivern stays asleep, allowing Frokage to very ninjally kill the sleeping target. Latias is next, and this damn thing is holding a Soul Dew, which complicates things. I don't want to risk a damage roll even with Stab and Choice Specs boost, so I go into Timmy, Mega up, and hit the Latios with a Crit Crunch. Nice. Last is Charizard, which will obviously be megaing into a Charizard X. This thing has Brick Break, so knowing that I can't resist breaking Timmy into 2, I switch into Hella. I go for a Sludge Wave boosted by Poison Barb, and it almost takes out Char, even managing to fucking poison. Hell yeah! X wastes a turn going for a Dragon Dance, allowing the Sandstorm to chip it to death. Death by sand. I know someone who would find that pretty damn irritating. So, 4 Elite down and 1 champion left. Now, I'd like to tell you that me and Diantha had a riveting final battle, where one poke dies to another, sometimes narrowly dodging death's embrace, refusing to join the other's slumber in the sepulchre, trade after trade, dead mon after dead mon. But nah, I basically PP stalled this fortress until it no longer has Earthquake PP, allowing me to set up my own spikes as insurance with Frokage, and then going into Constantine. I mega up, start setting up sword dances as Fortress watches in fear, and then the massacre begins. Because no way in hell am I letting a single mon die to fucking Diantha of all things, right at the very end. Hell no. Constantine rips Fortress into a million unrecognizable pieces, claws Blaziken's face right off, turns Gorgeist into fertilizer, hits her Tyranitar so hard its skin becomes diamonds under the pressure, turns Milotic into sushi, and trivializes Gardevoir into nothing more than a hastily done, poorly made cosplay princess. Boom. Fuck you, Diantha. Nobody even remembers you. And thus, it looks like Ash won this time around. So long as he evolves his Pokemon, abuses Snorlax, megas his Gengar, and plays some dirty, cheap tricks, he too can win a Pokemon League. Honestly, seeing the lads and lasses spin around gives me so much joy, but of course there's one final battle before I can finish this video. AZ. Jeez. To put it short, Hella takes out 2 of AZ's Pokemon before going down, Ace takes out Golurk, destroys Sigilyph, and does some respectable damage to his Mega Aerodactyl before dying. A rock slide from Timmy then finishes off, and the challenge is done for realsies. Alright, okay, now the run is actually finished. So, did it go how you expected? What could I have done better? Either way, I had a lot of fun with this challenge. Ash has caught some pretty stacked Pokemon in his travels, and getting to use them in a difficulty hack was a ton of fun. The hack itself was the best bit. I knew when I saw how the Elite Four would play out that this would actually make Kalos interesting again, and it did. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, pummel that like button, and stay tuned for the next challenge. Adios.